everyone. I am so excited to have one of our awesome experts, Maude, on today, our dietitian. She is a wealth of knowledge. Today's hot topic is going to be introducing solids. But before we get started, can you share a little bit about yourself?
Absolutely. And thanks for having me. I'm super pleased to be here. My name is Maude. I'm a registered dietitian, pediatric registered dietitian. So nutrition specifically for kids, families, that's my jam. I have a private practice online where I help and support parents during pregnancy, after pregnancy, and then as you embark on introducing solids and hopefully never dealing with picky eating, but I do help parents with that topic as well. Um, I also teach at the college, university level, and I do research so that really we can support you the best we can so that parenting and feeding is a bit easier. That's my goal and my mission.
I love it. And I love that you do this tag teamed with your husband so that
Yeah.
all parents have the benefit of having someone that they can relate to. So amazing work that you both are doing. So thanks for being here today.
Thanks.
So I know working with new and expecting parents, introduction to solid, it's so, the information that's out there, the information that they're getting maybe from their doctors is so different. And I always say one of my biggest things is with parents, whatever you're trying to work on, try to find the expert in that field. And when we're talking about food, you're the expert. So if there's a parent out there wondering, is it 4 months? Is it 6 months? Is it not an age? Am I supposed to be watching for something? I'm waiting for baby to ask me for food. I think that's a really confusing time for parents as to when. So I guess let's start with that. Tell us, one of your challenges, maybe that's the one, but a couple of your challenges that you're finding parents struggling with in terms of when to introduce them, how to introduce them, and so forth.
Yeah, and I think you nailed it, like the when. And I think that decides, when you start that whole cycle of feeding solids, I think that's really what parents, their first question. And I think I loved how you said it shouldn't be an age because every babies are different. So I really like to suggest and help parents because you're the expert of your child. You know your child the best, better than me, even if I'm the expert in nutrition, better than the doctor, because you see your child every day. You know what's normal, what's not normal, what's new, you're the expert. So trust yourself and look for the signs of readiness. And why they do say that rather than 6 months or 4 months is because that's when it's going to be safe for the intro to solids. And really that's what I'm concerned about, right? Safety first. So making sure baby is able to like have control of the upper body, the neck, the head, being able to turn their head, spit anything out, suggest that they don't want more food or they don't want that near their mouth. Obviously bringing stuff to their mouth, showing an interest, that will go with it. But really like the control of the body is really important. So that's what you should be looking for. We say 6 months because that's when it happens for most of the kids. But in some instances, yes, we will do earlier with 4 months. But 6 months is usually around the age for most kids. Before that, really, milk feeding is appropriate and the best way to go. Past 6 months, really, we need to add solids. The milk itself won't be enough. So that's something to keep in mind. And obviously, if you're not sure and you're like, is that the sign that they're ready or not? I'm not sure. Please get in touch. We'd be happy to help you make sure that you feel confident that baby is ready, everyone is safe, and that it feel excited about that next step versus terrified. We don't want that for any parent.
For sure. And you touched on something really important that I think is not clear to parents. And maybe you can clarify on this, because I think that parents know that when your baby can support themselves is a good time to introduce solids. But I've heard so many parents thinking that supporting themselves means sitting on their own, which some kids can't sit on their own till 7 months and on. And I think the important thing to clarify here is it's more the upper body. So can you explain what exactly are you looking for? I know sometimes when I explain to parents is, in those early months when we have a newborn, we're always supporting their back because they don't have control of holding their upper back and neck up. Whereas as they get a little older, parents feel a little bit more comfortable. They can kind of ease up on that one hand because their baby is learning that support. What do you teach them that they can kind of watch for that tells a parent that support is there, that they're able to hold themselves up?
Yeah. And it's such a fine line, right? Because that's it. There's the wobbly kids, which we know they're not ready because they will be wobbly in their high chair and that's going to be dangerous. The food will go and then they cannot manage that. They're learning, they will panic, you'll panic. We don't want that. That's the perhaps easy to notice. We don't expect kids, like babies, rather, I should say, to like be able to fully support themselves and like, in control of their movement. They're still learning. But if you can put them in the high chair and do that before you're like serving the first meal, see how they behave. Do you need a little bit of support? Sometimes we do put a towel, but if you feel like they are in control, they can, reach their tray and be in control of what's happening and seeing, then you will feel confident that they're ready. If you're
Right.
like, oh, what's happening here? Like, that's it. Then I would wait a few days, try again putting them in their chair and see what happens. And that brings us to a very important topic, which is that we never discuss, but the high chair. That should be such an important piece in your dining area, and maybe something that's worth investing in it. You don't need something fancy, but you definitely need something that's safe.
Right.
Safe
Right.
that has a straight back. We don't want a recliner. This is not a lazy boy. We want a straight back. We want a tray that's not too high. We don't want the tray and the baby is like not seeing anything. We want it so that the elbow can be 90 degrees with the tray, and we want a footrest, because baby needs to be really having support so that they feel grounded, they feel comfortable, so that they can explore their food. If
Wow,
they're dangling,
that's a really good, thought
yeah,
there. I don't think people realize that they need to have somewhere to put their feet and have that
yeah.
support. That's really
Like
good
otherwise
point.
they're dangling, they're not panicking, but they're like not feeling stable. So then like it's hard to be in control of their upper body because they're not supported.
That's
So,
amazing.
and a good high chair can grow with your child. So if you want to invest in a higher end one, or like, a gift that you want to ask for others to help you pay, that can be really helpful, even for older toddlers where sometimes they have trouble sitting and we're like, what is wrong? They're not supported. They don't have the right chair. And that's why they're like not paying attention at the
Not doing
table when
well.
really they're just trying to be comfortable.
That's great. That's great.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for sharing that. That's some really good information. So give us 3 tips then that you might think of for parents who are thinking about starting solids.
Yeah. First one is I don't know if it's a tip, but let me just reassure and say it clearly. You can do puree, you can do baby led weaning, you can do a mix of both. All are good ways. I think parents feel guilty these days to do purees. They feel pressure to do baby led weaning, and we just don't need that. We don't need the guilt. We don't need the pressure. Both are good if they're done safely. And I would much rather have you enjoy that moment, feel confident, not stressed, well prepared, than, following the latest trend just to be trendy and not and feeling stressed at the table. Like your
Yeah.
baby's gonna pick up on that, and it's gonna ruin that dynamic and that nice moment.
Right.
So
And you
pick
hit
what,
that on the new trend, right? I think that that's what
yeah,
all the parents are trying to do is keep up with the new trend,
yeah,
even though the new trend might not be working with them and their dynamics. So
exactly,
very good point.
exactly. And I have some parents who are like, I cannot get myself to do purees. It's too much work. Whatever their reason, perfect, and do baby led weaning. I have the opposite. Parents who are like, this stressed me out so much. Can I please do puree? Absolutely. There's not a good way to do it. And again, like it's your personality, it's your baby's personality. Find what is right for your family, and that's going to be much more important. The babies are going to end up at the same place. They're going to end up eating solid food like the rest of the family. We can get there with both methods. So again, if you're stressed, get help, reach out. We want you to be confident so that you also can enjoy mealtime and model that for your baby, which is important.
That's good. So tip 1, we can sum up as find whatever nutrition parenting strategy works for you.
Yeah, let's go
Perfect.
with that. I love that. Thanks for summing
Perfect.
it up so nicely. Number 2 would be, we need to still be mindful of what we feed them, as in every bite counts. They're not going to eat a lot, right? They're really learning and they have small stomach, like little appetite. There's still a lot of their nutrition coming from milk, but the food itself solid as its place and its role. And it's important that we give them the nutrients that they need. So making sure that we're aware of that, how to build a balanced plate for babies, which are not the same as for adults. So making sure that you have iron-rich sources, fat sources, no salt, no added sugar, as little as possible. So obviously this is like the condensed version, but if you need help to put that into practice so that you know how to build these meals that are balanced and appropriate for your baby, reach out, because that's really important. That's really
Mhm.
important. Food, and that's, let me jump into number 3. which again, I don't know if it's a tip, but it's a myth that I want to just kind of like, enough of this myth. Food before one is more than just for fun. We often hear that food before one is just for fun. It doesn't matter. They get their nutrition from milk. I disagree. And it's really important that we take that seriously, because we're like really laying the foundation for their growth, for their preference for food, for the interaction in the household, for you and your partner and the other caregivers to learn how to feed. So, tip number 2 would be making sure you know how to build balanced plate that give them the nutrients they need. And then tip number 3 would really be that that food is really important. It's for developmental milestone, textures, really important. Knowing how to eat. They learn to eat, you learn to feed. The nutrients, obviously, exposure to allergens to prevent allergic reactions, calorie, nutrients for appropriate growth, development of the brain, of all the organs, everything that's happening, and making sure that by 1 year of age, they are eating like the rest of the family. So we want to get there, but we need to start at 6 months to build these skills so that they
have that time.
want
I'm glad you brought that up, because I was going to ask you, because every time you and I chat or work together or do an event or a show together, I always learn so much from you. And that was one of the things I was going to ask, because so many, again, the new trend, so many parents are hearing food before one is just for fun. And I heard you say that's not true. There's a lot of learning and a lot of things that are happening before that. So I'm glad you clarified that. So that being said, I have a couple of other things I want to ask you as well. And they can just be like kind of like a rapid fire answer if you want.
Let's do it.
One was the food before one is not just for fun. I love that. The second thing I want to ask you is first food. That's changed over the last 20 years. I know 20 years ago and 10 years ago, we were talking about start with, a certain type of cereal and move through there. So what would be, first food suggestions?
So anything that has iron and that has fat in it. So baby cereals can still be an appropriate choice. They are enriched with iron, but anything that is, meat, fish, eggs, that will provide iron, that will provide fat. So that's really what we want to like focus on.
Good.
I would, it's not that I want to avoid fruits and vegetables, but purees of fruits or puree of vegetables don't provide the nutrients baby needs. So again, we're kind of just missing that opportunity to give them what they need that needs to supplement the milk.
Right. That's great. Now, what about what foods are you recommending that children should not be having in their first year? Because again, another little myth going on that you have to do a certain foods in certain orders and that there's certain foods that they shouldn't be eating before one. So can you tell us?
So the food to avoid, the food to avoid are really the one that have like a lot of salt and a lot of sugar added, just because their bodies are so small that, they cannot really process a lot of that, and that can become a lot for them quickly. That being said, that rule of like, we used to say 3 days, then introduce a new one. And then like, by 18 years of age, they finally eat a varied diet. That's not necessary anymore. We say, unless it's the allergens, which you just want to be able to identify if there's a reaction, which food was in cause. Otherwise, the goal of feeding them is for them to learn to eat the food that your family loves. So that's the food that you should be serving. Obviously, that can be a great moment for your family to reassess, well, are we eating what we want to make, like to have our baby eat, right? Is that what we want for our kids and our family? So I think there's sometimes that discussion going on, but that's the food that we want to serve. That's the food that your child is going to see you eat. So that's what I would recommend you serve. But obviously at the beginning, just making a bit more of a plan as to what to serve them, because the nutrient is so important and they just take a few bites. So you don't have a lot of room to be like, oh, now they're 2 bites and that wasn't really nourishing. So that's
and I have heard you say that one of the foods not to give them before one is honey. That's probably the only one that you said not to give, because it can be dangerous. So that's good.
So that's it's a source of sugar, but also just it's a risk for food safety because of the potential risk for botulism. So you're right, and thanks for bringing that up. I was
awesome. And this one's not a question. We're going to end it with this one because it's something that I heard you say that I love, but having meals at the table for all of ages of baby, it really is a valuable bonding for family. They learn social skills. They learn how to communicate and talk at the table and have family time. So I heard you say that in the past, and I love that you're teaching that advice of sitting at the table as a family with all age of children really teaches them all the social skills that they need that will bring them into older child and adulthood. So thanks for sharing that, because that was amazing when I heard you say it the first time.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And start with what you can do, right? Like some families cannot sit all together, all members at every meal. But again, if it's once a week, that's great, because like you said, it's such a special moment for your family to come together, and it helps kids in other ways than just the food.
Awesome. Maude, thank you so much as always. I love chatting with you. I love that you're able to share all this wisdom with our viewers and our listeners. I'm going to put how everyone can contact you in our show notes.
Yes.
So if you can just share your website really quickly with them.
Yeah, it's called Family & Co Nutrition. So you can find us online, and we are on Instagram at picky.eating.kids. Sorry. All the details in the show note. Yeah, and come connect.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Maude. Thanks everyone for listening and watching.